Okay, so we are at the start of this route, of the route for this training area. There will almost always be a sniper right there, and if you don't take him out, he'll probably see you across the road. I've been spotted by vehicles through here quite a bit too, if they're driving fast, and also there's a road really close, and it's hard to see, it's right there, to the right. And there's vehicles that go through there, and I'm not expecting them. But this little area right through here is unpredictable, other than there's going to be 1 through 4 guys in it. But I can hardly ever predict how many they're going to be and where they're going to be at. And this tree in front of us, if there's a guy on top of it, he can detect you through that tree. So that's a good thing to know. We are memorizing this map of this place, the recycling place on Windy Island, because we're trying to make learning how to play with no HUD on Elite difficulty as easy as possible. And memorizing a place simply does that. It's much easier to learn headshots when you know where the enemy is going to be half of the time. You know, they don't all do exactly the same thing, but exactly the same thing over and over again, but about half of them do. And it's easier to learn to play without enemy markers that way, because you don't need them as much, because you know where half the enemies are going to be. The other half, you just need to focus and take your time if you need to. And the reason you want more than one training place is because doing just one over and over gets old really quickly, and plus the enemies that you took out, they need time to respawn. And I've actually waited a day and not all of them had respawned before. So Windy Island, you got 3 decent sized places that aren't too easy, not too difficult, and they're right next to each other, and you can just do a lot of reps really quickly right here. Windy Island is at the southern tip of the map. I use the also use the incineration plant and the port. They're really good. But you know, there's other good places too. This place just happens to be, I don't know, just it kind of just popped up on my radar. And I just started doing this just to try it. Yeah, so you can start out with all the HUD if you want. I'm pretty sure I just turned on all the HUD.
Zero movement in my sector. Got nothing over near me.
There's a lot more stuff on the screen. And again, there's a lot of stuff that you could probably, if you're playing with full HUD, there's a lot of stuff that you could take off that wouldn't impact you all that much, like a stamina bar. I didn't like getting used to not having an ammo count, even though getting ammo is easy as walking over a fallen enemy. I just didn't like it, but I'm used to it now. If you run out of ammo, you just pop your pistol out and it gives you a chance to make a cool kill. Alright, so that alleyway we just came through, there's usually not 3 guys there. There's usually only 1. This building to my left here, there's never ever anyone inside of it.
Hey!
Good job.
But these 2 structures in front of us, they have 2 levels, so just be aware of that. Someone inside that glass there in that structure, on the first level of that structure, has seen me take out people and I didn't see them, so be wary of that.
I got a bad guy.
And
Maneuvering in position.
there's usually
We're set.
2 guys on this roof most of the time,
Sniper sighted.
and on the other roof there's 1 guy about half the time. And there's usually a guy by this truck, and there's not one there this time.
Good kill. They're smoked.
Rock and roll.
The enemy movements in this session were about as abnormal as they get, but I'm still doing the same route, so it's pretty much the same. These 2 guys that are coming up, they always patrol this road 100% of the time.
We're under attack!
Kill ghost.
Yeah, so if you miss, you know, don't freak out and move your analog stick a lot, your crosshairs. You don't need to. You got 1 to 2 seconds for, you know, they'll get surprised and then they'll flinch, they'll move, they'll yell, but then they'll stop for a second and they'll kind of panic. And then, if you don't overcorrect, you just have to move your crosshairs just a little bit, and it's actually pretty easy. I mean, you can even miss 2 or 3 times and still get it in time.
Get some.
Oh shit. Whoa!
With an MP5 heavies take, you shoot them once and then you pause because they move. You know, they flinch, they get excited. So you pause, hit them once, pause, and then hit them twice fast. The second time knocks the helmet off, and the third time pops them in the head. And in this area right here that we've just been looking at, this road here, there are usually at least 3 or 4 guys that walk back and forth, and you can't always get them
You're dangerous, no
without someone spotting a dead body or hearing a bullet, but this worked out really nicely. So sometimes I'll only take out 1 or 2 guys here, sometimes I'll go ahead and take out all of them. It just depends on where the enemy are. And yeah, think about where, you know, where they're facing. If there's a guy, they're close left to right, but one's farther away, you know, take out the first guy, then the farther guy. That makes a big deal in this game.
Seems the Freeport attack didn't go
If you
as
take
planned.
out the farther guy,
What could have gone wrong?
and it startles the
Is there
second
better
guy,
support?
and then you miss the second guy twice, then you've been
A lot of talk out here.
detected,
Rumor is some helos went down.
at least
I
in
heard
part.
it was a legit attempt to infill troops.
Nicely done.
Who would try that?
You can't jump over that. There's usually one guy in here, most of the time. And he's usually back there, but he might be walking around. And sometimes there's two. When I was playing this, I wasn't even looking at the enemy markers, because I broke that habit.
Now you're just showing off.
When I try to play like I did before I started playing like this, whenever I try to imitate it, go back to it, I'm not doing it right. I can't remember exactly how to do it. It would be good for a video though.
Who the hell are you? What? No! Don't kill me!
There might be someone in here. One time there was 3 guys standing in here, and that was my first triple headshot. Boom, boom, boom. I think I've only done that twice correctly.
There it is, boss.
Every time I've shot that guy, no one's ever found his body, so I don't even worry about it at this point. Even though there are other enemies that will walk fairly close to him, like to the edge of this building here, right in front of us, right beside us. But we've probably already taken them out at this point. Yeah, you know, you can gradually change your settings. You know, there's a lot of things that shouldn't matter that much just in training, like mission reminders, stamina. I wouldn't really mix training and what you usually do, because when you do what you usually do, maybe you want to keep more of the HUD on, and during training you want to be, you know, kind of pushing yourself a little bit. You know, after you memorize the map and the route and the enemies and how they usually, you know, where they usually are, and some of them seem to be able to spot you a lot better consistently. So some of them seem deaf and blind. Some of them actually seem like they're somewhat vigilant, especially the snipers. They can see you from farther away, from sure. But yeah, weapons and item display. I already had that turned off before I started doing this for a little bit. I don't even remember what's on it. Right? You've got your ammo count, and then what? There's a silencer, right? And your single, semi, triple, your burst, and your auto. Yeah, you don't need that. These shader indicators, they didn't work as good as I thought they did, because I have just the shader indicators on, because I'm looking for a MP5, gold MP5 or a gold bullpup PDR with boost in mobility, and probably for the MP5 probably range, and for the PDR I'm not sure. It would be mobility and maybe handling, maybe recoil. Maybe range. That'd be a lot of range. Yeah, you could turn stuff like that off, just at least during training. What I would do is turn everything off except for enemy markers and minimap. And then also a dot. So whenever you click something on your map, and because you want to, you know, go there, that dot will show up on your screen so you know where to fly at least. But yeah, I tried to play without enemy markers and without a mini-map, and I was just like getting nowhere. I mean, I'll get somewhere, but my progress was just very slow. I started doing this, and like 20 hours later, I was taking down Camp Black Widow on the 3rd try. You know, without having to use any bandages. And I was trying before. I was trying to do headshots, and it wasn't working out. And on my 5th try on Camp Black Widow, I got 6 headshots in 24 seconds. So that was just a lot of progress in a short period of time.
Not now. No.
And knowing where the enemies typically are makes it easier to play without enemy markers. And then the last step was taking off the mini-map. I was using the mini-map and I was looking at the enemy on the mini-map. Within, I think the mini-map, it probably extends out to 50 meters around you, maybe. Maybe it's up to 100. But, you know, if you tag the enemies, they show up on the mini-map whenever you walk close to them. Or fly close to them with your drone.
Sit here, boss.
This was just kind of an awkward situation. I should have just shot this guy like that and then run to the corner and popped all 3 of these guys. I should have just unloaded at the level of the head. But instead I missed this guy's head, hit him in the shoulder, and it worked out alright.
I hate it.
See, after I missed, I barely had to move my crosshairs. Once you get that down, that's a big help. Like, I almost don't worry at all about missing headshots unless they're far away, because you can easily get them on the 2nd or 3rd bullet shot.
When I find you, you'll pay for killing my friends.
Breakpoint is probably my favorite 3rd-person shooter. I think it's more single-player friendly. I think, well, in some ways it's smoother. But I was waiting for a Splinter Cell, something to make up for the absence of Splinter Cell in Wildlands. It didn't work out for me. I might be able to, I can do it now, because I went back after I trained a little bit here. I went back and it worked.